I'm Dr. Cheryl, and welcome to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl. The theme of our show is raising the awareness and consciousness in the relationship with wealth and applying unconditional love. Always remember that your present situation is not your final destination. The best is yet to come by Zig Ziglar. Irrespective of whether we are believers or agnostics, whether we believe in God or karma, moral ethics is a code which everyone is able to pursue by the Dalai Lama. I'd like to start with a little joke. A little boy wanted $100 badly and prayed for 2 weeks, but nothing happened. Then he decided to write a letter to the Lord requesting the $100. When the postal authorities received the letter addressed to the Lord, USA, they decided to send it to the White House. The president was so impressed, touched, and amused that he instructed his secretary to send the little boy a $5 bill. And as this would appear to be a lot of money to a little boy, the little boy was delighted with the $5 and sat down to write a thank you note to the Lord. It read, "Dear Lord, thank you very much for sending me the money. However, I noticed that for some reason, you had to send it through Washington, D.C. And as usual, those jerks deducted $95. Our special guest this evening is Norma Zamit. Norma is an intuitive, as well as a clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient, and a natural sound healer. She has been using these inherent abilities, applying them to the field of energy psychology to help others for over 35 years. Norma has trained in many aspects of physical and emotional healing, beginning with the studies of abnormal and child psychology at Queens College in Flushing, New York. She is certified in emotional code, matrix energetics, the body talk system, Sentian master therapist, Reiki, and Regenerus. She has a unique ability to utilize and integrate these to optimize an individual's growth and well-being. As a master emotional code practitioner, ECP, Norma is able, with amazing efficiency, locate and effectively release blocked or suppressed emotions that have been limiting the individual mentally, emotionally, and or physically, sometimes for decades. The result is a happier, more energized being who has an enhanced awareness of what is truly important and a much larger sense of who she or she really is. In addition to her one-on-one private lessons, usually via telephone, Norma lectures on energy dynamics and their many applications and will be publishing a book on this subject. She also conducts introductory workshops on sound healing using the human voice. She resides in Marin County, California. This is the first segment of a two-part discussion with Norma. Welcome!
Thank you.
Welcome, Norma. It's been a while since that we've started talking about this, months and months, but you're here, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I have already basically introduced you in your bio and everything, so my goodness, I know that there's a lot of questions about what you do. And first, I'll just start with asking you, can you tell us what clairsentient is and what that really means?
Yes, it's clear feeling, and it's perceiving what you normally don't use your five senses. You have this other ability to perceive into the realms or even in everyday life, but not using your five senses.
So is that your sixth sense then? Is that what it's comparable to?
Yeah, I guess you could say it is a sixth sense. Yeah.
Okay. I know Swami Beyondananda says there's seven senses. I'm still trying to work with my sixth sense. Anyway, so this kind of, and then the second one is clairaudient.
Yeah, that's the same thing. It's clear hearing. Again, not using your five senses, but hearing like in the spirit world, or hearing what a person's body's saying, hearing what they might think. You're working with a client and you're picking up on a thought, and then you ask them, are you thinking this thought? And they say, yes. and it's important that it was mentioned. So that's sort of how that works.
Yeah. So tell us how you what do you do with this? Because this is your gift. This is your gift.
Well, there's many ways to use it. One example I can give using the two clairsentient and audience that you mentioned was one of my clients was a guy and professional, and he came. He said, "I can't stop thinking about my work." He says, I'm there and I come home and I'm still thinking about my work. So when he said that, I immediately got, he was still there in the office. His physical body left, but he was still there. And I asked him, I said, do you feel like you've even left the office?
So is that like his mental and his spiritual were still in the office? Is that what you
Well,
mean?
his physical's not there, but a part of his spirit is still there,
yeah.
and his personal energy.
Right.
So what I had him do, first of all, I asked him, why do you think you're still there? And he just has tremendous amounts of workload. And he's exhausted a lot.
Oh, is he a workaholic, do you think?
No.
No. Oh,
No,
okay.
that's a good question. No, I didn't find that.
Yeah.
So what we had him, I say he and I had him do was I said, I want you to imagine you're back in your office right now, and it's 5 minutes to leaving. And I want you, as you get up, to pull all your attention off your desk. And I got the impression he had a lot of papers on his desk. And I said, do you have a lot of papers on your desk? He says, yes. Okay. I want you to take your attention off of your papers, off of your desk, off of your chair. Can you do that? He said, how? I said, just intend, because it's how you intended to be connected.
Good old intention.
Pure intention. That's the key to everything. So he imagined doing that. He says, okay, I'm standing in front of my desk and I don't feel like I'm attached to any of it now. I said, okay, good. So as you're walking away towards the door, I want you to start pulling your energy out from the whole room, from the bookshelves, from the telephone, from the plant, whatever you have there. So he says, I think I did it. I checked and he did. I said, okay, now I want you to walk out the door and tell me how you feel. And he said, I feel like I left the office. So that was his new rule.
Yeah.
There was other cleanup that had to be done.
He just needed your guidance on how to do that. He needed your guidance. Your
I could tell if he was taking his energy
Yeah,
back, see?
right.
I could feel it.
Yeah.
And clairsentience, I could sense it too. And so then I had him come back to his room where he was. And I said, okay, now notice how you feel. Now from here, I want you to reconnect to everything in your office by pure intention. And he did. And he goes, oh my God, he said, this is amazing. I said, okay, now bring your energy back. Just intend, you're bringing it all back to you, knowing you can put it back there anytime you want. So we did that 3 or 4 times until he realized he was more comfortable with his energy with him when he left.
Yeah, right.
And he realized that he never got any break from his work, so he was resenting it, he was getting frustrated, he was making mistakes, and he did well after that.
So did you have to work with him a few times? Or?
In that particular situation, once.
Oh, well.
Sometimes you can get it once.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other example is a little longer to tell, but I had this friend who was going to have heart surgery, and he was trying to avoid it. He needed his aortic valve removed. So, and his heart was weak. So I worked with him, and I removed, what I discovered was he was holding on to trapped emotions from early days. So we removed all the emotions from his heart, and then...
How did you do that?
What I do is muscle testing. So I go like this. I use this as my, if it's yes, it's strong. If it's no, it comes apart. So I would ask his knowing self, because I intend to be connected to him with his permission, did he have any emotions in his heart? And I got yes. So I removed 8, I believe.
8.
Eight
Wow.
different ones. And then I asked his heart if it was happy, and it said it was. So then I checked if he had an energy field around his heart, protecting, he did. And that took 3 sessions to take that down. Then he went back to the doctors. I also checked the veins in his heart and the pericardium, the sac that protects the heart, and everything was good. Strong energy. There was some toxins in his sac, meaning mercury and black toxic energy. He went to the doctors, and the doctors found his heart to be stronger, but not much changes in his aortic valve.
Yeah.
But it didn't disintegrate. It didn't get worse. So they told him he could probably live for years without needing surgery yet.
Oh, wow.
But he found that he was weak. So he went in for surgery, decided to do it. So he's in the hospital, and there's this thing you can do where you can have him talk to his body and prepare the body for the surgery. And so we did that. He explained that they were going to be taken into another room. His skin's going to be cut. The bones were going to be moved, the sternum and the ribs and the heart, and a new valve was going to be put on. And that he would like the heart to know it was safe, and that he wished it would welcome this new valve. And then he talked to the old valve, and he thanked it for its good duty and how it supported his body and functioning. So he went into the surgery, and when you do this, by the way, the body feels so safe that it bleeds less. So it's easy for the surgeons. So after the surgery, he called me. He said the surgeon was very pleased. The valve fit perfectly, and everything went exactly like he would have liked it to. So just to cover the bases, I checked in with his heart. Was his heart happy? Yep, the heart was happy. Was the new valve happy? The new valve was happy. Then I checked, was the ribs happy? The ribs were not happy. They had panic, and there was 2 other emotions. So I released those. In the system that I use, once the subconscious tells me and I tell the client and the body hears what the emotion is, it pushes it 3/4 of the way out. And how I know that is if somebody's in front of me and I'm muscle testing them, and before I address any emotions or the emotion at hand, I said, okay, I want to see if you're strong, and they're strong, and I say, okay. And then where the emotion is, if it's in the chest, I wave my hand and say, okay, now see if you can resist me. They can't. So the bodies push that emotion out 3/4 of the way. I go over their head 3 times. That's a major meridian that vibrates the rest of the body, puts it right out. I muscle tested him, strong as an ox.
How long ago was that? How long ago?
I am, what, did I learn this?
Well, no, that you had this experience, this healing with this gentleman.
A month ago.
Oh, so it's really recent.
It's pretty present.
So have you spoken to him recently?
Yes, he called me religiously, and he told me everything is going well. His pain medicine was going down, 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 but his skin was extremely sensitive.
Sure.
There were some emotions in the skin, release the emotions. The skin is fine, and he's comfortable wearing his clothing. And his strength is constantly coming back. And the last thing I just want to say about it is I had him check in and thank the new bovine valve for working with the heart and welcoming it and the heart, and have each welcome each other and show appreciation so the body could be strong and healthy. And that's exactly what's happening.
Wow.
And people, anyway. So I use those 2 abilities to perceive, is the energy moving? Isn't it moving? Is something stuck in his thinking? Because sometimes I ask somebody to do something and they're not doing it. And then I'll say, okay, what's happening? Because I don't get you're doing what I ask. Oh, I don't know about this. Well, what is it? Well, my friend did something and and it didn't work for him, so it's probably not going to work for me.
Oh,
And then you
gosh.
have to handle that consideration.
Oh.
And then he does it, right? Or she does it.
Yeah, right. Well, I basically have a little testimonial myself. I was a little apprehensive at first because I'm very aware of other people's energy and infiltrating mine, and I'm very careful about that. But I've known you for a long time, Norma, and you did a little treatment on me. About a month and a half ago, I went to the dentist because I have a tooth that I needed to have a new crown on, and it's been painful. I mean, it was to the point where I had to keep taking ibuprofen all the time. So I decided, because I don't want to get a root canal, but I did go in and they did a pulpotomy where they just take the top of the nerve endings off, and they ran out of time. Thank God, they ran out of time to do the rest of the root canal. So I have a temporary crown on it right now. But I thought, I really don't want to have to go get a root canal. I just have this resistance to it. So I thought, okay, then we communicate a lot. And so you said, well, let me work on it. So lo and behold, I had no clue on what was going to come out. I had no clue. And when you delve, head, feet, everything into it to get to the bottom of this. And it was very interesting. This was, a week, and it's been over a week now. And on the second day after you did the treatment with me, because it takes two of us, the pain went away. And I have not had pain since.
Ah, that's wonderful.
But what was really interesting, and even though I've done past lives before, I was just kind of astonished when you had said, you went back 11 generations on my father's side of the family. And it's funny because my family never talked about that side of the family. It was always my grandmother's side, and which is wonderful, but it was like nobody talked about the German side. And maybe for good reason, but so it went back 11 generations that I guess that this same phenomena in your mouth was continuing. So here it is. Maybe I've broken the cycle, and so my daughter won't have it, maybe, but I'm pain free.
Yes,
so thank you.
You're very welcome. Dr. Nelson, who I learned this from, he said that when it's natural for us to have emotions all the time.
Yeah.
And most of the time we let them go. Bing, bing, bing. But once in a while we have anger or frustration or panic or even depression, and we say, oh, I'll deal with it later today, maybe tomorrow. And we never deal with it. Then it gets trapped. And it's like my tissue here. There's the energy of the emotion, and wherever it settles in, it irritates the tissues or the bone or whatever. And the longer it's there, the more imbalance and disharmony it creates. And if you have these plugged all over yourself or layered, it's going to create an imbalance and illness in the body. And once it's found and you remove them, the body's brilliant,
Yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
It heals itself. It knows exactly what to do.
So you're helping us educate ourselves on that, and thank you for sharing that, so the viewers and the audience can understand how that works. Because our society, the media don't focus in on that, and we can heal ourselves. If we're aware of this, we know how to do it.
Yes, and what's amazing? The AMA says most illness is psychosomatic. Psychosomatic. Why don't they address the person's thinking or their emotions? No, they don't. Money. That's it.
Oh,
Give them the money, here's the pills, let's go.
No. Well, we won't get into the pharmaceutical companies. That's a whole nother 10 shows.
So the point is, if people can start waking up, that when they have the emotion, go right into it, feel it,
Yes.
Yell at it, whatever, draw pictures, and let it go.
Yes. Yes.
They'll save themselves a lot of being ill.
Our society would be so much healthier if we all did that. I mean, it's easy to put it off. It really is, because we're not exposed to being able to do that in a healthy way in our society. I don't think
and
it's not supported.
One of the things,
here in Marin, it is.
One of the things that's really not acceptable is showing your anger.
Well,
even
women,
if you're not directing it at anybody, but you're walking down the street and you just want to go, not acceptable. And when people have to stuff that particular emotion, it backs up, the energy backs up, and it gets lodged somewhere. Yeah. So even if the best place to sound that out is in a car, best place.
Well, I'm known for taking my tennis racket and hitting the bed.
That works.
I mean, that gets it out of my body.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
but screaming is also good. I mean.
And I want to introduce another element, if I may, sound healing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to sound heal. Everybody. And people say, well, how do you know that? You know how to cry. Crying is exactly
cleanses
the format. Soul. Yes, and it's the format of sound healing. When you cry, you don't say, I'm going to start in the key of C or D sharp or whatever. You just start with any sound. You don't even think it. And it's a journey you take, not thinking, intuitive, and you cry, and you get to the end, that's it.
Yeah.
When you're upset, if people would just be willing to make sounds, any sound, it'll take them to the next, to the next, to the next, and before you know it, it's purged right out.
Interesting. So what do you mean, like any sound? I mean, just like grunting, sighing, what do you mean?
It could start like,
yeah.
And then it just keeps going and going.
Okay, yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're complete. Sometimes you'll be shrieking at the top of your lungs, and when you finish, you feel better.
Yeah, and it gets it out of your body.
And for people who have headaches, they might try this. I was going on the freeway a couple of years ago. I had this really intense headache. And I just started going, I have a headache. I have a headache. I do have this awful headache. And then all of a sudden I was sounding away. And I finished
so you sung it out of your body.
It started with a song and went to, and when I finished, the headache was gone. Gone.
Isn't that interesting?
The other thing about headaches, when I used to do some work in corporations, people, oh my God, my headache. It's usually a conflict. Half of them wants this, and the other half of their thinking says this. And so I would say, okay, what's the conflict? Because half of you is fighting the other half of you. As soon as I looked at what the conflict was and told me a bit about it, guess what? The headache went away.
Yeah.
Wow. Or if it didn't, I would say, okay, you're stuck with not making a decision.
So is this conflict that you're talking about within themselves?
Within themselves.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
should I tell my boss this? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I?
Oh,
the two energies of like, yes and no, and they form a ridge of energy, is a headache. So I could intuit that, and I said, what's the conflict? And they told me, and I said, okay, so make a decision. Pick one side or the other. As soon as they did that, the headache left, and they stood there, they couldn't believe it, because they didn't know that they could create that to begin with, and then it could go away so quickly.
Yes, we're not taught that, those
skills. No, we're not taught.
Tools.
What do you do with your energy? What do you do with your thinking?
And also being aware of our energy. You know, so many people are numb to it. They don't own their energy. You know, so it's hard to be aware to it if you're not allowing yourself, you know, to feel that energy or to be with that energy.
I'm not sure I quite understand. Could you give me an example?
Well.
You mean like an emotion, the energy of an emotion?
Well, yeah, or even mental. I mean, there's mental energy, from people. I mean, and if you're intuitive, you can pick up energy. But I sometimes can sense when people are, maybe it's just a protection. They hold their energy in because it's to protect them.
Yep, that's
I
right.
guess maybe that's what I was talking about when I like even here at the media center, all the different people that come in and out of here, and I can pick up on some people's body language.
Yes.
And they're like holding on.
That's clairsentience. That's feeling, not using the mind. It's using your higher senses to perceive. Or you go into a room and you go, I don't want to be here. I don't like how this feels, and you
Exit.
remove.
Or, yeah.
Or you have a hunch the phone's going to ring, and it's your friend Apple, and you pick it up. It is you. I
Apple.
thought you.
I like that. Apple calling. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Apple's a good name. Neutral.
Oh gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll leave you with this. Self-discipline is a form of freedom. Freedom from laziness and lethargy. Freedom from the expectations and demands of others. Freedom from weakness and fear and doubt. By H.A. Dorfman, American Mental Skills Coach. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of your own dream or illusion. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy versus opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Never give up. First, be aware and conscious of your thoughts and catch yourself before they come out of your mouth, especially the negative thoughts, into words, and it takes being sedulous, persevering, and disciplined. Be grateful for whose you are and where you've come from and what you have, and be grateful for your freedom and eat healthy. Good nutrition feeds the mind and your body temple, and don't forget to exercise. Feed your spirituality with meditation and prayer. Thank Spirit. Love yourself unconditionally. Stop criticizing, stop judging, and allowing others to dominate the way you feel and think about yourself. Be compassionate and share your abundance and wealth with others. When fear knocks, let faith answer the door. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life. By Henry David Thoreau. Thank you, Marin TV, for facilitating our show, and especially to my crew, Eric, Brad, and Ginger. Thank you. Please support and become a member of Marin TV. Bye for now. Until next time.